Spiritual formation. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Gary, and thank you for giving me a few moments of your time as we continue our discussion on all things of what it means to be spiritually formed. Today, we're going to look at a continuing discussion of various categories. We're going to look at intellectuals loving God with the mind. The second pathway we're going to look at is the intellectual. These are believers whose hearts really don't open up until their minds are engaged. They can be in those worship services and hear all sort of lovey-dovey type of worship songs and the emotion-laden testimonies, and they're in the back secretly thinking, can you give me some data? Can you give me something to sink my teeth in? Can you get my mind engaged here? I don't want you to think of an intellectual as somebody that has to be necessarily smart. What it really means is more conceptual. When new concepts enter our minds, it helps us to respect the Lord in a new way, and it opens up our heart to worship Him with more vigor and more enthusiasm. So let's look at the role of the intellect. Don't downplay the mind's legitimate role in worship. That's kind of how the mind works in an intellectual. When we understand the beauty of God, when we understand theological truths, they're not just empty intellectual wordplay to an intellectual. They really do open up our heart to respect God and to worship Him more vigorously because of it. Often the intellectual gets downplayed a little bit because we just dismiss it's all in his or her head. It's not really in their heart. And that is a problem. But it is also true that Jesus does call us to love the Lord our God with all our heart, our soul, our mind, and our strength. Jesus himself talked about the role of the mind in loving God. Lacking the mind is no better than lacking the heart. Here's where the intellectual can take great encouragement, just in the history of Christian spirituality. Christianity has been moved forward on the backs of men and women who have outthought the pagan world. When you talk about Augustine and John Calvin and Erasmus and Aquinas and Blaise Pascal and Jonathan Edwards, you're talking about literally some of the best minds this world has ever seen. One reason the church has prospered so much is not just because it's outlived the pagan world, but because it's outthought it. For the intellectual, they're going to need to get into books for their quiet time. They'll probably spend more on books than they would have on worship musics. The creeds might be valuable to them during times of worship because they remind them of those time-tested truths. Regent College professor Dr. Klaus Bockenbuhl once stated, "There are some truths I need to be reminded of every 20 minutes. That's a great quote and a great statement to ponder. Could this be more the proclamation of an intellectual? Their mind is engaged, then their heart is opened up, and that's what really leads them to the worship of God. Well, thank you for giving me just a few moments of your time as we work our way through these various attitudes and stages of what it means to worship God in a variety of ways and how it spiritually forms us. I'd be so grateful if you would take a moment and share this content on your social platform and let others know about what we're attempting to accomplish of all things spiritual formation. Until we can meet again, we bid you Godspeed. Bye for now.